Good day, sports fans. You tuned into the P&B Sports Show. And if your pulse isn't racing, you didn't watch the Champions League last night. I'm your host, Arako Tom, and we are coming to you live after a Wednesday night that redefined European royalty. 4 heavyweights have booked their seats at the high table of the quarterfinals. We saw a 7-goal masterclass in Catalonia, a clinical demolition at Anfield, and a Bavarian blitzkrieg. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. You know, just ask Atletico Madrid, who survived the North London storm by the skin of their teeth. Joining me virtually to dissect the madness are 2 of the best in the business, our very own in-house encyclopedia and sports analyst, my Oga at the top, Errol Sunday, and all the way from the center of excellence, the tactical mastermind, Walter Odige, who will be joining us later on in the program. Welcome to the show. Errol, good morning.
Good morning, Tom, and I think, of course, you are very sharp. Let me know good day.
Walter Odige, good morning. All the way from the center of excellence.
What always excellence? What morning?
I think it's safe to say Barca de Salah, because very soon we are going to be seeing the moon, and we are going to be enjoying from our brothers, you know, that are going to be celebrating their own holiday. But I think let's start in Camp Nou. Yesterday we saw a fantastic performance from Barcelona, but then we saw an abysmal performance from Newcastle that were able to hold their own in the first leg. All of a sudden, they came out and they said, you know what, I think we can only play the first leg and the first half of the second leg. And when it got to the second half of the second leg, they didn't perform as well as a lot of people thought that they were going to perform. Abel, talk to me, man to man. How do you think the Newcastle side performed last night?
Is it a man to man? Okay, well, I think yesterday was something different. We saw a Newcastle side that did so well at the first leg, held Barcelona to 1-1 draw, and then second leg, of course, even the first half, I think I have to give it to Newcastle as well, because they came all out from Barcelona. When Barcelona scored, you see the response immediately. But I don't know, the second half, they just went into their shell, and that was just history was just I think history was just the rest of the story. I will also want to give kudos to also the Barcelona side. I think they did so well. The likes of
my MVP is Rafinha.
The likes of Rafinha, they were fantastic. And you could see how they ran into. I don't know how I'm trying to get the adjective that will qualify. They ran into Barcelona, into Newcastle yesterday. It was, in fact, the midfield collapsed. Let me just put it that way. I think that's the right one to say. The midfield of Newcastle collapsed at the second half, and that is how Barcelona got the whole battle of Newcastle yesterday.
Okay, fantastic. But we saw a Newcastle side play a 4-3-2, formation, and a lot of people were asking. They were extremely confused with everything that was going on. We expected Newcastle, to come out and say, let's attack the Barcelona side. Let's play them the way we played them in the first leg. In your own opinion, Abel, how did that 4-3-2 formation affect the Newcastle side?
Well, you could see, of course, I think it's evident you see the first half.
Is visible to the blind.
You said what?
I said, in your own opinion, it seems like to you it's visible to the blind and audible to the deaf.
Yeah, it was very clear. If not for that, it was very, very clear in the first half. But the injury to Newcastle, the second half, also played back. But even before that, there was a penalty that Barcelona got at the end of the first half. And I think that was a call for pulling a Rafinha behind when he wanted to start it. And that caused the whole big blow. I think defensive lapses for them to run out. He left Rafinha up to the side, and you're trying to pull Rafinha back. And
Indeed. In your own opinion, do you think that Newcastle they were just defensively naive, and that was why Barcelona were able to take it home? Or do you think that this is some new era for the Barcelona side, and they might actually win the Champions League?
No, you can't say they will. You cannot say they will as it stands now, because they won 7-2 yesterday. You cannot say they will win the Champions League. No, I don't agree with that.
So it's too early.
But I think the Newcastle side, I would say they defeated themselves, to be honest, because they have all what it takes to hold Barcelona to ransom even to the end of that game. Though they might even love the game, yeah, but they have what it takes to hold Barcelona to ransom to the end of the game.
Okay. But I'm going to just quickly throw this to Walter Odige. Walter, in your own opinion, how did the defensive dam break for Newcastle quickly?
Yes, Newcastle, they started the game so well. So I think they were by enjoying the moment. They forget that they are playing Barcelona at Camp Nou, and Barca, once they get to their goal, they can damage the competition. But it was a good beginning for Newcastle. They went head to head with Barcelona and they equalized. So as soon as it was 3-2, I'd expect how to change his tactics, to change his formation and play more defensively, and just sit at the back and hope that you get the chance to counter the Barcelona high line, their counter attack. But if he did not, I think he was enjoying the moment. They forgot that they are playing Barcelona, so he wanted to continue the attack for attack football that they were playing. In the second half, it was only going to favor one team, which is Barcelona, because they have the quality to really damage you in that moment. And apart from the quality, they have they have the home advantage. They are playing in front of their own fans, and they have the players that are really exceptional to do the damage to any team in the world of football. So for me, I think Newcastle is very well. It was 4 hours of football. Newcastle were really impressive.
Okay.
3 hours. Then the last half that determined everything, I think.
Indeed.
They didn't show.
Indeed.
And that was very, very good. Yeah. So in the end, they will look at themselves. The result does not help them. The result is very terrible. 7-2. It's damaging. I think it's the
Walter, 7-2. 8-3 on the aggregate. It's quite unfortunate. But I think for the Barcelona side, they seem to be one of the favorites right now in the Champions League when it comes to fans and viewers. While for the Newcastle, I think this is a time for them to sit back, relax, and look at the project Newcastle in the European space. I think that is what they'll be looking at. But right now, we're going to be moving on to Liverpool. Liverpool completely obliterated the Galatasaray side yesterday. I'm going to be asking you, Abel, what do you think about this Newcastle side's performance yesterday? It seems like they completely demolished Galatasaray yesterday, and our own Victor Osimhen. I remember talking to you last night, and you were almost in tears. You were almost crying because of the performance of Galatasaray. Would you say that Galatasaray, they've left the UEFA Champions League in honor, in your own opinion? On mute, please. We can't hear you.
Sorry, I muted myself. I didn't cry for Super Eagles. Is it Galatasaray or cry for?
But you were crying and weeping. You were like a woman that lost her husband.
I can't do that.
Okay. It seems like we lost him there to network. But I'm going to be asking you, Walter, what do you think about the performance from Liverpool last night?
Honestly, because they thought that it was the game. If I'm thinking that it's going to be, I think the second game at their home. I don't think they should have anything. They knew very well that going to Anfield is going to be, of course, and they never walk alone. It's going to be a very, very difficult mountain for them to climb. And that's the reason why I was even saying they would have tried to see how they will score more goals, not just rely on that 1-0. 1-0 is not a game in football. It is not already a two-legged game. There's no way you can give one goal and think that you are okay. You see what they did when they came back, even from the first half, Galatasaray was attacking. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Liverpool was attacking them left, right, center because they knew they needed to win. And to be honest, the side that Eru always say, he said, football is a game that any side that have desire, determination to do will always win.
Talking about the desire and the home advantage at Anfield, how do you think the pressure of the 12th man on the pitch, which are the fans, how do you think that affected the Galatasaray side? Because it seemed like it was more of psychological pressure than actually their main physical performance on the pitch.
I think it has to do with them wanted to impress. I think that they don't want to. And again, to Victor Osimhen, I don't know. All of a sudden have injury, blah blah blah, and fall down and all this thing. And even if you take note, you watch that in the first half, it was falling anyhow. Anything that fall down, I don't know if it's delay practice or something else, I don't know. But they're just falling anyhow, and you don't have to concentrate on the football. You have the whole time to play, but you are just falling everywhere. I think one thing that affected the Liverpool side, the Galatasaray side, if I'm correct, is that if you notice in the first leg, what we saw was we saw they had issues with with their transition and with the way Galatasaray played in the first leg. But one of the reasons why we saw Galatasaray players falling like a pack of cards was only because we saw them playing a kind of suffocation press. But I'll bring that over to you, Walter. Do you agree with the way the Liverpool side played against Galatasaray last night?
Liverpool were just on top form. It was one of the best Liverpool I've seen this season, from beginning to the ending. They had 15 shots on target. That's amazing. That was really, really scary. And Galatasaray did not come to the party. And the moment Osimhen got injured with his hand, the moment he injured his hand, I think that was game over for Galatasaray because the fact Osimhen came to see in the second half, this. And Liverpool were able to play high off the pitch. They won't try that if the team was on the pitch, but because it was not there, Liverpool came on out the second half. They were playing high off the pitch, and it was chance after chance after chance. The game that would have easily ended 9-0, trust me, if Liverpool were able to convert their chances. So it was a completely dominant performance, and it's what it is. It's football. We saw Gala against Juventus, and as we feared that this was coming, this was going to happen against Liverpool. If Liverpool come to the party, and unfortunately for Liverpool, they came to the party, and unfortunately for Galatasaray, it was just too much. It was nothing they could handle. I'm happy that in the end, an English team went through, because there's been a disappointing and a disastrous outing for the English teams in the UEFA Champions League. So now let's say we have two English teams in the quarterfinals, so which is still a good number compared to the rest.
Okay, but it seems like it's revenge for Liverpool, and we might be seeing Victor Osimhen with the Liverpool side very soon. How do you think Victor Osimhen's leaving Galatasaray is going to affect the Turkish league and the Turkish team if he decides to go to the English Premier League quickly?
That was what I was saying yesterday. Maybe I was watching the team, and I said something like that. Osimhen has no business in Galatasaray. He has no business playing in Turkey. Because imagine that's the best team in the Turkish league. And look at the way Liverpool just played them like they were not there. So I think if he really cares about his career, let's achieve everything for them. This is the best they can achieve. This is the first time they are reaching the round of 16 of the Champions League since.
Are you with us, Walter?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay. Yes, I can hear you. But quickly, we're going to go in on a short break. And when we come back, we are going to be moving to the FC Bayern Munich versus Atlanta. So don't go anywhere, because P&B Sports Show. We'll be right back. Okay, so welcome back to the P&B Sports Show. I'm your host, Aaron Tom. And yes, we are still on the Champions League. And what happened last night? The complete obliteration of some teams, while some other teams rose to the occasion and showed why they have the Champions League DNA in them. And I think one team that performed fantastically last night was the Bayern Munich side against Atlanta. I think what we have on the aggregate right now is 10-2. We saw Bayern Munich play Atlanta yesterday fantastically well, and it was fantastic the way they played. A lot of people, expected them to win, but maybe not to win in this fashion. Walter Odige, how do you see the Bayern Munich performance against a team like Atlanta? And do you think that moving forward they are going to go further in the Champions League?
Bayern Munich's performance was 10 over 10. From the first leg 6-1, second leg 4-1, that was 10-2. So it was an extremely high-star performance over the season. It showed why they are one of the favorites. Bayern Munich wanted to play in football because, if they get in the groove, if they get in their mode, they are so good, so fluent, and so dangerous. They can give you 10 by the close of their eyes. So, yeah, it was a good performance, and I think when they go far, their next game is against Real Madrid. Yeah, they are better team than Real Madrid. We've all know that for 2 seasons now. But it is Real Madrid. They are the king of the UEFA Champions League. So if you don't want to open your mouth and be too confident that they are going to beat Real Madrid, because in the end, Real Madrid is Real Madrid, and Real Madrid have the way of always coming up the important stages of the UEFA Champions League. But that being said, I'll be putting my money on Bayern over Real Madrid.
Okay, but I think talking about the team, you said you put your money on Real Madrid.
Yes, on Bayern Munich.
Because I would never put my money on Real Madrid, not Real Madrid. But in your own opinion, do you think that there's any team in the Champions League that can play good defense against the Bayern Munich side? Or do you think that any other team that Bayern Munich meets next, maybe even after the quarterfinals, that they are going to completely destroy that defense? Because I want to give them the title of the defensive or the UEFA Champions League defense destroyers. They conduct complete deliverance on defenses in the Champions League.
I didn't get that.
I said, do you think that there is any team that can play a good defense against a Bayern Munich side? Because they seem to be a side that they conduct complete deliverance on any defensive team that they meet or any Champions League defense.
I think Arsenal. If Bayern will play Arsenal, I think that Arsenal will be able to stop Bayern's attack, especially the Arsenal team we saw at the beginning of the season. Maybe not so much the Arsenal team that played currently, but the ones at the beginning of the season, they can stop any attack, and they know how to neutralize your players, make them weak, make them look trapped and all of that. That's what we saw in the big things when Arsenal and Bayern played. Bayern, the attackers as good as they are, and they're able to manage just, I think, 4 shots or 5 shots in the whole of that game. So it was really, really disappointing performance for Bayern that day. So I think Arsenal can easily defeat anybody. So I think, except Arsenal
Indeed. But Abel, quickly, we are seeing an Atlanta side that seemed to have struggled against the Bayern Munich side completely. It seemed like a very, very unfortunate game for them. If you are the Atlanta coach, how do you get your team in the right mental space after a heavy aggregate loss, 10-2? Anybody that loses 10-2, I think they should start asking themselves the question, should we be in the Champions League at all?
I think that game from the first leg, that already is considered defeat. The game is done and dusted. 6-1 first leg. Before the second leg was now 4-1. and the aggregate is 10-2. But for the question, you said if I were to be the coach, what I will tell them is Bayern is Bayern. It's not so. We have to place some focus on the future. They have domestic games to play. So whether they think about it from that business is going to change anything. So the best thing is just for them to focus on what we have in hand and what we think we can grab, because you cannot control yesterday, but you can control today and tomorrow. Today you can control, but yesterday you cannot control it. So we just have to focus on today and see what we can achieve. And I think that's just what I'm going to tell them, just to try to see how definitely mentally they'll be derailed. There's no two ways about it. But they just need to let it go. That's fast.
Okay.
What we have in our hand right now.
Indeed. And moving on to the Tottenham Atletico Madrid. I think that was a very, very tricky one last night. A lot of people kept asking the question, can Atletico Madrid hold their side moving forward in the UEFA Champions League? We saw a loss for Atletico Madrid, but then we saw a qualification for them as they won 7-5 on the aggregate. What do you think about their performance, Walter? Because it seems like what we saw was the Simeone special yesterday.
So the question for me?
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So Atletico Madrid, they've been a very inconsistent team this season. So I think I was expecting them to lose the game yesterday because we saw them against Barcelona. They did 16 in the Copa del Rey semi-final. They won the first leg 3-0, 4-0. Then they lost the second leg 3-0. They are so inconsistent even in the league. Today they can give you victory. Tomorrow they can act like they don't know what the ball is all about. So they are very, very inconsistent side. So I think Tottenham were able to hold them to a goalless draw or a scoreless draw or even a sling defeat at the Stadium of the Postano, so that it's easier for Tottenham to progress in the quarterfinal of that game. But it was not the possibility for Tottenham, so I knew they were out too. But people who knew they were going to lose yesterday, but they held on, like you said, to qualify for the quarterfinals, and that is all that matters. That is what matters, because I think they did more of the job in the first leg. So this second leg was here for formalities. So congratulations to them. It's nothing new to be said in La Liga, qualified for the Copa del Rey final. Now they reached the quarterfinals of the Champions League and will face Barcelona.
Okay, indeed. And Abel, for the Tottenham side, do you think that this is a proud exit for them? Or is this a what if for the fans of the Spurs?
Well, I think yesterday they came out, at least I think they showed why they are called Tottenham, right? Because the first game they lost, the first leg they lost scandalously, and the second game at least they were able to win. It was quite unfortunate that Diego Simeone had a whole a package for them. They used to only love that game, but qualified on aggregate. So I think Tottenham did well. There's no two ways about it. Despite that they have even challenges in the team, they have injury concern as well. But even with that, they will hold themselves together, see how they will come out and have that performance. But for me, I think want me to rate them from on a scale of 1 to 10, I should give them at least 6. Honestly,
Okay. Well, it seems like Atletico Madrid lives to fight another day. And then we have the Tottenham side who wins the battle but loses the war. And it's quite unfortunate even for their performance. And Abel, you rated them 6. I'm going to rate them 8 because they were able to hold their own against one of the best teams in Europe and in the UEFA Champions League. Well, that brings us to the end of today's program. And Walter, I'm expecting my ram. I'm expecting my ram for the Salah. And Abel.
I thought we were inviting Walter to Abuja.
You are?
Maybe. It's only to invite me to the state of a Muslim.
I can never, you see, you know one thing about me? I can never take an excellent person from the center of excellence. It is not possible.
Water is not comfortable. Water
Okay.
is part of the excellence.
Okay. Well, and that. Well.
No, why? That is that they are killing the ram.
Okay. If I see any ram that they are killing, I'll let you know. I'll let you know. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the beautiful game in all its glory. 16 teams started the week with a dream, but only 8 remain standing on both sides of the bracket. A huge thank you to Abel Sunday and Walter Odige for those world-class insights, masterclass analysis. You know, we've seen goals, we've seen grit, and we've seen the sheer ruthlessness of the European elite. The road to the final is narrow, and the heat is only going up from here. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back tomorrow. So look ahead to the quarterfinal draw. I've been your host, Aroko Tom. Keep the passion alive and keep the conversation going on all our social media platforms. From myself and our entire team, it's bye for now.